Welcome to the Change Your Life podcast. My name is Dwight Gillespie. I'm your host. And this week we're going to be talking about setting boundaries in your life. If you're trying to improve your life, one of the best things you can start with is improving the boundaries that you have with the people in your life. Just to remind you, I am the author of Price Tags. It's a book that'll be out on April 28th. It'll be available wherever books are sold, or pretty much anyway, at least online. Yeah, and I appreciate that. And if you haven't done it already, I'd like you to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with your friends, please. If you find something in here that you find worthy, definitely pass it along. We'd like to help as many people as possible. And this is something we're going to talk about boundaries today. And it's something that I had a very difficult time with. I didn't really fully understand boundaries and how it worked. And it starts, I think, especially with the people in the company that I kept. It's funny because, as you may know, I had a problem with drugs. And my problem was that I could never get enough. But one of the things that you look around one day, you start out your life and you got some decent people around you and everything. And as you keep using drugs, as you keep this lifestyle going, all of a sudden you look around and you're like, wow, like, where did you people come from? And, nobody has any teeth and everybody has a lot of scars. And, it's just not, it's a rather seedy crowd. And I think I remember when I first got clean, somebody said, you are the company you keep. And there's a really good guy named Raheem. He had a lot of clean time. And Raheem used to say all the time, he says, tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are. And it's one of the truest things that I've ever heard. I remember looking around and saying, oh, these people are all scumbags. Well, guess what? There really is a scientific thing that says that, or at least a psychological, and that psychology, as a lot of people say, is not exactly science, but it is to me. Anyway, it says that you are pretty much an amalgamation of the 5 or 6 closest people to you in your life. So if the people who mean the most to you, if the people who you spend most of your time with are not good people, if they're shady people, if they're prone to lying, if they're prone to cheating and all this other stuff, then chances are this is who you are, because water seeks its level. I think that was one of the first things, when I got clean again. People said, have you gone through your phone yet? And I'm like, well, what do you mean, go through my phone? They say, yeah, you got to get rid of the dealers' names. You got to get rid of the people that you used with, like these things. If you want to change your life, and it's not just for using, I'm not talking about just using drugs, because for the most part, that's not what this particular podcast is about. This podcast is for anybody who wants to change. But there's a thing about people in general, and it's not just like, if it's drugs, of course you hang around with drug addicts. But if it's laziness, if you're addicted to playing video games and doing nothing, chances are the people that you hang out with are that too. And it's not just about that either. I had to start hanging around with people who fed my spirit instead of took from it, right? And this wound up being, a lot of it happened to be my family, my own family members, that I really had to readjust who I was spending time with. I had family members who were very quick to point out every misstep that I ever had in my life. And they did it always for my own good. Oh, we're trying to keep you in reality, man, to let me know what a screw up I was or how many mistakes I was making. And those people had to go, because it was never, wow, you're doing this really well, right? Because I've learned to give constructive criticism now, and I've learned to know what that looks like. What does constructive criticism look like? It says, you're doing this very well. You may want to look at this. To me, it's never constructive to say, man, you really screwed that up. Look at that. That's never constructive. And when I had people in my life, and I had a number of them, who were very, very likely to do that. And I found that a lot of the people that I had to weed out were people who were very jealous of any scent of success on anybody else's part. It wasn't just me. I could see them do it to anybody. I wrote a book. Right? It's a good book. You should buy it. You really should. It's good. But so I wrote a book, and as I'm writing it, people were very quick. Wow, I don't think this is good. I don't think you're very good at that. My mother, I remember as a little kid, I won a contest once. It was a writing contest. It was in third grade, and I described what it was like to be a window with a baseball about to be thrown through it, and the window was like, oh my God, I'm going to shatter. I hope it bounces off. All this crap, whatever. It was good, and I remember enjoying, like, how much I enjoyed putting that on paper and, like, feeling that and describing it, and having the empathy for the window and all that. And I remember, saying to my mother, I want to be a writer, when I grow up. And she said, well, you have to be very good to be a writer. And I don't think you are. You better have a backup plan for when you fail at this, like, I was 9, you know? And that's pretty much how it went. And I had brothers and sisters who were willing to give me the same critical information for my own good, to keep me reality based and really to keep me in a mediocre frame of mind like they were in. And I'm not blaming them, because after a while, I became an adult and I became responsible for those feelings myself. And at that point, I had the opportunity to meet other people and to surround myself with people who didn't do that, right? And I also had to get rid of, because there's another part of it too, are the constant emotional and spiritual vampires, the people that habitually have that dark cloud over them. It just constantly seems to rain on their life, And every time you talk to them, they're the people that you could be having a great day. And I have one person that you're having a great day, and you talk to this person for 20 minutes and you want to go home and sit in a warm bath and open up your wrists, Like, they're those people, and like, oh my God, and they just drain you of everything, right? And they're hard to get rid of because they also hit you with guilt, especially if they're family members. Oh, don't you love me? And you'll find that with mates as well, If your spouse or your significant other, or whoever it is in your life, is one of those people who motivates you with guilt, or you're constantly fighting, and there's no happiness in the relationship. Yeah, all relationships take work, but they don't take constant work. And you can set those boundaries. And when people cross them, you can say, you know what? I respect that you're having a hard time. I respect that you're this negative, but I don't want it around me. Or you can just pull away. And I've had to do this with a lot of people in my life at one point or another. Sometimes you just outgrow people. You get to a point where that negativity, it's just not conducive to growth. And life is all about the growth. I really believe that. And in having that positive outlook and being around positive people. I had a friend who recently, he said to me, he said, you want to keep the people in your life who have your best interest at heart. And that doesn't mean me telling you, oh, I have your best interest at heart, and this is why I'm telling you what a piece of shit you are. It's just because I have your best interest. I don't want you to get too inflated, because the descent will be great and mighty, so I'm trying to save you from yourself. No, it's people who have your best interest at heart, and that they encourage you to be better. They encourage you to do better. They encourage you to stop living that mediocre life you may be living. And when you say things like, you know what, I'm going to go back to school and take classes to learn X, Y, Z. I want to be a chef. I want to learn to be a chef. They encourage you. They say, I think that's great. I think you'd make a great chef. Go ahead. You can cook for me when you're done. I'll be your guinea pig. I'm right here, man. Every meal you want to cook, I'm willing to eat, stuff like that. And they encourage you to do these things. They don't roll their eyes and go, oh, you're going to try that. So having that is very important. And it doesn't mean you necessarily have to give up. You have friends, they go through a hard time and you stick by them, and they may be down for a time, but they come back up. But I'm talking about those people who are habitually down. And we all know them. Oh, poor me. I used to know this guy, Frank, in Connecticut, and he was great. I was in the group AA. I was in AA at the time. One of my ventures into AA. I had several. But Frank was the guy that sponsored me for a minute, and he used to call me poor me, like, oh, poor me. He said, here's poor me, poor me, poor me, poor me another, because I just wanted to sit and tell you my sob story and how hard life had been for me, and oh, poor me. And it's all bullshit, man. But I found that the people that I surrounded myself with were the same way. because if they weren't, I didn't want any positivity and upbeatness. And as I've changed and as I've grown, I've wanted it more and more. I wanted to be around more positive people. And again, I had to also define what I'm sorry meant, right? And that's another podcast that we'll talk about. But forgiveness isn't about me continuing to let you abuse me. Forgiveness is about, I understand where you're coming from with that, and you did something really foul, but it does not mean that I have to continue to put myself in line for your neglect and your abuse. And that became a big thing for me. So again, look around you, look at the 5 people who mean the most to you in your life. And if they're not people who have, number one, your best interest at heart, or number two, have something you really want in your own life, if they're all just as miserable as you, if none of them have dreams or aspirations, then I tell you this, you may want to think about getting a new circle of friends. And we'll get into how that happens later on. One of the things you can also, find out for yourself, and you find it in dating too. If you go to a bar to find people to date, you're going to find bar people. If you go to a library, you'll find, well, if they have them anymore, right? But it's all in where you go. You go to a museum, you meet people who like to go to museums. It's a good thing to understand. But you are the company you keep. That's a fact. And where you find your company is the company also that you're going to keep. You keep going to the racetrack, you'll meet people who go to the racetrack all the time. And if that's not something that you want in your life, then you're barking up the wrong tree. You're looking in the wrong place. So set those boundaries. Define what you really want for yourself. And then put the people around you who have the similar goals and similar quests in life. And I think you may be surprised at the outcome of that. Anyway, that's today's podcast. My name is Dwight. Again, the book is Price Tags, and I hope to see you future podcasts. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share. Please share it with your friends. I thank you. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy. Bye.